Right, g'day guys, welcome to part 5 of your 3 models. In this case we're doing a piggery. Very similar principles apply for any floor plan you're doing or any civil project. Right, so for this one what we're going to do is we're going to create a simple gable roof which can be used in any, like I said, any project that you do. And what we're going to do is I'm actually going to copy this whole thing, copy it out so I can show you 2 different options. So what I would do, look, the reason I'm going to copy this, whilst I do want to give you 2 options, is that for some of you it might just be quicker and easier, right? So I'm going to highlight this whole thing. I then click the move tool. You can see I've added a few more at the top just for ease. I'm going to click at the bottom, press Control, drag it across. I'm going to try and keep it, remember, shift and hold it on that same axis. And then there we go, and drop it over there. So I'll work on this one over here that we've just copied. Now what we're going to do here is we are going to take the length of one side here, because I'm going to do a gable roof. We're going to take the length of this side of the house, and we're going to use a line of that length to generate the geometry that we need. So what I'm going to do quickly is open up my PDF, which gives us all the measurements of the piggery. Well, some at least. Right, so there it is. So we need this length over here. This 6722 is what we need. So we're gonna use that. I'm gonna come over here. I'm going to attach my pen to that point over there, and I'm gonna come across, and I'm going to go 67. So I'm gonna click my pen there first. I'm gonna pan across a little bit, and I'm gonna go 6722, making sure that it sits on that green plane. And there it is. Right. Now what we're going to do is we are going to use the protractor. So if I go to Tools and I come down to Protractor, I'm going to create a pitch of 30 degrees on this roof, right? So let's grab that point over there. For some reason or that, but I don't know why I'm not getting a shift on my axis here. Let's have a look and see how we can manipulate this very quickly. Okay, so very simply what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to use my views. Okay, so I'm going to come around until I get to the view I need to work with this. There it is. So if I come across to the front view, I think that's front view. Let me just double check. You can see I've added my tools there. It's left. Right, there it is. You can see I'm now working on the red axis. And what I want to do is click on that point, click on the other point, and I'm going to shift it up, and you'll see my angle at the bottom right hand side. I'm going to type in 30. Gives me a nice guide. I'm going to go to this side, click at this end. I'm going to shift up to 30. There we go. So now we've got the guides giving us a nice 30-degree plane over there. And immediately what I'm going to do is I'm going to go draw in from that point there to that point there and that point there to create a basic triangle. Now this would sit flush on top of this piggery over here. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a little bit of an offset, because we don't want it to be a perfect triangle. There's always overhang, and we have barge boards, etc. So there's a little bit of depth and volume to different aspects of the roof. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to go to my offset command, which is over here. I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to offset this. Let's offset it with a 200mm, if you like, a barge board. There it is. Okay, now the next thing to do is to go grab that protractor again. Let me go Tools, Protractor. Now we're going to create a 60-degree line off this over here. So I'm going to click on that point, click anywhere out here along that on the 180, and shift it up, and I want to shift it up to 60. There it is. You're going to see why I do that in a moment. It's going to give us a nice push and pull opportunity. So we're going to go click. I'm going to click on that point, click out, shift it up to 60. Right, and what that means is this angle over here is a 60-degree angle. This 30-degree angle. If I create a 60 here, I can grab this side and pull it along that plane, the 30-degree plane, nicely for when I need to. When I'm on the roof and I need to create my overhang. So I'm going to go to this point. I'm going to draw a line to close that off there, and I'm going to draw a line to close that off there. Now it's quite easy. What I'm going to do is just go and delete all the excess geometry that I do not need. I do not need that, do not need that, and all of this part in the middle as well I don't need. Right, perfect. Right, so now I've got the general structure of my roof, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to highlight the whole thing, right? In fact, in the meantime, just to get rid of all this detail, I'm going to go and just delete my guides. Too many guides all over the place just makes me a little bit frustrated. So when I work with a cleaner space, and there we have it. Right, great stuff. So I'm now going to grab this whole thing, right? In fact, what I might do here before I group it, because really what I want to do is group it, I'm going to give it a little bit of depth. And there's a reason behind this. If I grab it, right, I'm going to come from this end here. Excuse me, let me pan and rotate. I'm going to just bring it out this way a little bit, right? And what I'm going to do while it's in this position is I'm going to add some roof texture to it. So I don't want texture across the whole thing. I just want texture along the top. The sides here can stay white. So let's go and have a look at some colors and some textures. Let's go look at my, select some materials, we'll go to roofing, right? So here it depends, obviously depends on the type of roofing you want to use. Here's a roof slate, it's quite nice. Tiling, which is also quite nice. So there's various roofing types we can use. There's a very simple sort of metal sheeting, and I think I might just go with the metal sheeting to keep with that red sort of Michael House, brick. And sort of red burgundy color. So now that that's in place, what I'm going to do is I'm going to triple click this whole thing, and I'm going to right click and say make a group. Perfect. So now it's all grouped, but now if I want to watch this, I can right click on it and I can hide it, right? And I go back to view, edit, and I can unhide the last thing I hid. And that's my roof. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move it, right? So I'm going to click on that point there, right? And I'm going to shift this onto this corner here at the top. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Right. Now I'm going to push-pull this all the way across to the other side, right? So I've double-clicked into it so that all I'm working on is the group. And I'm going to go to push-pull. I'm going to grab this and we're going to come all the way, I'm going to pan across until we come all the way onto this side over here. And we want to see I've got my red marker, meaning on that face. So now it's pretty much sitting flush. I've got a nice metal roofing. So in other words, you could have done this without grouping it. So I'm going to go back to why I made a copy. Excuse the detour here. In other words, this you didn't have to group. You could have just done what I've done here without grouping it, obviously. So in that case, then you have one piggery with a roof on, one piggery without a roof on. So you can take then multiple screenshots or print shots so that you can add it to a PDF A3 and just to give different scenarios of your piggery. Okay, you can even take some snapshots inside. You can get really fancy. In the next part, I'm going to show you how you can go and populate the inside of your piggery with a lot of different types of furnishings, etc., and even some pigs. So, roof is not finished. We're going to work with an overhang front and back, left and right of about 300 mils. So we're going to continue to work on this group. We're going to come back this way, 300, or 3,000, 300. I'm going to go to the other end, right? I'm going to bring it out 300. Right, and then I'm going to come down to the bottom here and pull this out 300. So we're going to have a total, well, that wouldn't be an overhang of 300, obviously. Really how you want to measure your overhang is parallel to this wall, but I'm just doing this just for a quick method. Right, and I'm going to pull that out 300, okay? Right, so we there have our roof in position, right? And with a slight overhang, a nice slight overhang that we would like. So before I make a little bit of a barge board, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create some more geometry because roofs don't hang off at an angle like this. What we have is a straight line, right? So I'm going to make sure it's blue because then it's running perpendicular from the ground. I'm going to grab that. I'm going to go straight up with blue. Now what we can do here is push-pull the excess geometry off. So I'm going to go grab my push-pull tool. I'm going to grab that point and I'm going to run that all the way back to when I get that red square at the back. So I push, 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 there we go. And it removes that excess material. So I'm going to go here again. Remember, I've got to be active in my group in order to get it to do what I need it to. Right, there we go. So the next thing I can do now is create a barge board. So I can actually pull on that and actually give it excuse me, I click on it, I press Control to give it that little bit of thickness, and we're going to go with a 15mm barge board. How's that? There we go, and you can go and add, let's give it a little bit more thickness so it's kind of obvious. I'm going to come out, oopsie, remember, click Control to create a new geometry, otherwise you won't get that line and that distinction. So let's go, I reckon, approximately 25mm. There we go. That's a nice bit of a barge board there. We'll go on the other side. We're going to click, Control, come out, oopsie, Control. Should then get, there we go, additional geometry. We said 25mm. There we go. So my barge board is on, right? And we're going to do the same thing on the side here. In fact, let's just leave it as it is there, because what if I do this, it's going to overlap. If I bring this out 25, 25, okay, you'll see Control Z. Let me do that again. I'm going to click Control. There we go. So it's just not going to match up. It's going to be a little bit awkward. So what I should have done is done this first and then pulled it down. But we'll just leave the barge boards on the side for now. Okay, right, so that's a nice little bit of detail. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to work on bringing this, extending this roof up to meet the line, this apex here of the roof. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. 2, 3. All right, so I'm going to release this grouping, click to the side, and what I'm going to do is use my tape measure here, and I'm going to apply this wall. I'm going to slot it in as a additional component. All right, so let's take our tape measure tool. I'm going to come to the center at the top of this wall here. There's your midpoint. I'm going to drag this up, keep it in shift, hold shift down. So if I hold shift, I shouldn't come off. It's not working for some reason. I don't know why. Let's do that again. So let's go tape measure, grab the center point of the wall. There it is. And off I go. Okay. So as I come back here, I want to work within the blue, and until I attach it to, there we go. So the total distance there is 1940. So you can see I've even put a little guide marker underneath there, just in there. 1940 is the distance from the wall to the ceiling, the apex of the ceiling, 1940. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to create another component. I'm going to create a triangle. So very simply, I'm going to construct a line. Excuse me, I'm moving all over the place here. So if I drag this along from that corner, right, I'm going to go up 1940. Okay, so that's the total height of my roof, right? Very simply, instead of measuring 30-degree angles, I'm going to use the length of the wall, 672, right? So let's go back here. I'm going to go 6722, enter. Is that the right length? 6722, it is. Great. You can see I'm probably could do this a bit quicker. Always many ways to skin a cat in this program. So now I've clicked that, I'm going to find the midpoint, and I'm going to put the midpoint on that point over there. So we should have now an even triangle with a 30-degree slope either side. Perfect. Okay, good. So let's get out of this. Let's go delete some geometry. That's what we want. Now what I'm going to do here, right, is I'm going to pan. I'm going to shift and pan around this and create some depth. I'm going to pull it. And I'm going to pull it a total of 200 because that's the depth of the wall. So that when we place it in there, it's not just one panel. We want to create some depth to it, right? So I'm going to group this as well. I'm going to create another group. So I'm going to make this a component actually. So I'm going to double click, right? Triple click on it, sorry. Make a component, and I'm going to call it wall. Let's call it wall to apex. Oh, wall to apex. How's that? I suppose that's a fairly decent name. We're going to go on any, cut, opening, create. Okay, cool. So now what I'm going to do then is I'm going to copy this. So I'm going to copy another one because I need two. I need one from the other side. Click there, control, move it to the side. Right. Now we're going to work on this one. Okay. And we need to go find the brick, the relevant brick. So we're going to go to bricks and shading. And if I'm correct, I use this red brick here. we can just go and add brick all over the place. Yeah. Okay. So what I do to the one, remember, it does to the other, because it's a component, right? Good. Now what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to shift this one into place. There we go. I'm going to grab the midpoint at the bottom, midpoint of the component, and I'm going to go attach it to the midpoint on this wall over here. There we go, somewhere over there. Let's find it. There it is. So you'll see how it slots in perfectly. I'm going to do the same over here. We're going to go grab the midpoint of this component. So I'm going to swing myself around. I'm going to pan across, and I'm going to go grab the midpoint on top of that wall, and we should have some perfect geometry, and we should sit nice and flush. There it is. Right. Now, I can obviously hide that if I want to, but I don't need to. So now, let's delete that geometry. I don't need that geometry. So if I go in to the one component, I can just delete that. Oh, Control Z. No, we can't delete that. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to explode it, right? So release it as a component, and now I can go in and delete the geometry, right? I should be able to. There we go. So now it creates one wall. Let's go into this part here. Let's double click on it. All right, I'm going to explode this. Already exploded, it would seem. No? There we go. Explode, right click, and then I will go and delete that geometry. There it is. Right, so we've got the roof on our piggery, looking good. A nice simple gable roof. Yeah, ready to go. Now, it's at this point now where if I should be able to, so let's go and right click on this and go hide, and you can still see inside, and you can take you can take your snapshots and what have you, screenshots of the inside of this. You can go delete this geometry over here if you want to, because it's now an exploded component. But that's it, looking good. Now what I can do is I can take snapshots of that. I can then put my roof back on and take a few snapshots. Alternatively, I didn't need to group anything. I could have just had one group, one house with a roof on, one without, and I could have taken shots separately of both of them. All right, there it is. So that's how you create a roof on SketchUp.